every season should be better than the last.
It's time for some more Overwatch League.
Fasten your seatbelt.
You guys excited?
This is where it gets out of control. Welcome to the Overwatch League. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, on this fine Sunday morning. We are live here in the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles for some Overwatch, Hex, for some Overwatch.
Last day of the week. Hopefully we'll get some answers to some questions that we have about these teams, as a lot of teams really close in the standings.
Absolutely, playoffs are in the running right now. Stage playoffs and the big picture playoffs at the end of the season, of course. But let's go ahead and take a look at the standings. Stage 1 standings. And I don't think it comes as a shock to anybody to see that the XL are still sitting pretty at the top.
No, not at all. The top is the top, but it's really interesting when you get down to all these teams with 2 wins and 2 losses. A big log jam at 2-2, 2-3. So every one of these matches is going to matter so much going into the stage playoffs. And you see at 11 and 12 right there, the teams we're going to be looking at today, Boston and Toronto.
Yeah, kicking the day off, exactly. Coming up next for Boston, you can see the remainder of their matches in Stage 1. Defiant tied situation, and so important this match. Very evenly matched teams, and they're still both in the running for the playoffs here.
It's evenly matched because you look at they have common opponents. They both beat the Outlaws. They both lost the NYXL, so not a whole lot of information to go off because you expect both these teams to, sorry to say it, beat the Outlaws, but then also lose to the NYXL. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup to see where these teams are, and a win here puts you at 3-2 in pretty good position to make the stage playoffs.
Exactly right. So everything on the line here, but that's what these guys are used to. They were born ready for this moment to play on the stage. And we're going to welcome our first team to the stage. It's the Boston Uprising.
A model franchise when it comes to scouting, to finding players in the rough, to picking up guys that really no one had heard of before. They go all across the planet, representing a lot of different regions. This is a team that you just can't argue with the success that they've had. They come out with these rosters, and you're like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? They don't care. They just win.
They have a system. They have a system, and you got to give it credit where credit is due. The coaching staff, the management staff, they really have a game plan. They shocked us all in the season of 2018 last year when they came out of nowhere and just really, took it to their opponents, did a fantastic job, had an excellent performance all season long. And then here, same thing, they hit the ground running, Hex.
3 new players on the starting 6 from last year is going to be Color Hex, Fusions, and Blase. A couple of them, as I mentioned, were scouted from their World Cup performance, and they just keep going. But the guys I like are the old standbys. Note, Kelix and Aim God. The support line's been good, and Note is an absolute assassin on Diva.
He's so sick. Definitely keep an eye on him. Crazy performances, but of course, it's not just one team on the stage. We have to have another. It's going to be the Toronto Defiant. And there we have it, making their way out into the auditorium. Toronto Defiant, another team that is impressive right now.
And if you were a fan of Boston last year, you're going to be familiar with some of these faces. Neko is a former Boston Uprising support. He's on this squad. They've got a nice mix of Overwatch League veterans from last year, finding a new home on Toronto. And this has been an interesting team to watch. They've got a lot of good players, but sometimes the synergy has not quite been up to snuff.
That's going to be the thing that Neko is going to be looking to exploit. One point that we need to bring up is the fact that he is playing against his old team. Was on the Boston last year, and now he's going up against them toe-to-toe. I mean, he's definitely going to have a bone to pick with them, Hex.
You don't even have to really look that deep into it. I asked these guys at our meetings before the season started, because they've got Envy and you've got Neko. I'm like, what do you think when you face your former teams? Like, we have to win.
Yeah.
We must win. So they're not even trying to hide it. Like, it's not just another game. This is a revenge game. It's your former franchise. You want to show them that you made a mistake. Let me walk away.
Exactly right. So let's see if it goes to their heads. We have seen that backfire on players, where we know that's what's going on, and they do not manage to perform at the level that we're used to, because it does affect gameplay. But Neko, he's a veteran now. He's been here for quite a while on the main stage, and so he's getting to continue to show us what he's capable of here today. Boston Uprising, I mean, all of these guys are monsters. Still mid of the pack in terms of the standings, but they have had some of the most elites, in
Yeah.
terms of teams that they've had to go up against.
Well, the 2 losses that Boston has are to NYXL, so we always kind of, they're the best team.
NYXL.
They look decent against them, and then they lost to Shanghai, a very last-second roster change where Fusions wasn't allowed to play, and so they had to scramble and get a different main tank in, so I think we don't really know if Boston's good or bad yet.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be looking for here today. We're going to be kicking it off with the map set on Busan, presented by Toyota. It will be Control first. Think King of the Hill. Think the first team to pick up 2 points on this map will win.
Yeah, take the area, control it, you get the percentage all the way up to 100%. We do that in best out of 3 in 3 different stages on a single map, representing the lovely Busan. And this has been one of my favorite maps because I like chaos, I like style points, and a lot of teams have run very interesting compositions on this map.
You've embraced life, Hex. Chaos reigns the root of it all. But we're going to be getting into the action now. Boston Uprising versus the Toronto Defiant. Both teams on the offense, and both teams out the gate charging. It's exactly what we want to see. And oh, Hex. No, they're messing with us. There's no way. Do we actually get to see the old veteran?
Well, I think we're going to see something like that. We've got a couple of players out there scouting for Toronto to see exactly what the other team wants to run. And it's actually Boston that makes changes off of a tank-heavy composition, going to more damage-based, and now changes all across the board. No fights yet. The point's unlocked, and the teams haven't even seen each other.
They're just feeling each other out right now. Exactly. Okay, what is it that they've got in store for us here? Because there is that moment where you're not quite sure. You guys can see the heroes that they're picking at the top of the screen. The players, they have to see them in person. They have to figure it out. So they take the time to try and set themselves up to win this first fight. And it's so important to get first control. You want to hit the ground running, but Defiants are the ones to pick it up, and they are currently going toe-to-toe with the Boston Uprising.
In this composition, the Zaryas are so important. That's what you're seeing on your screen now. Zarya getting high energy up. The number below the crosshair correlates to how much damage she is able to do as a hero. Still back and forth on the point. Toronto likes to run the Moira hero, which a lot of teams don't because they believe they can maybe get the ultimate charge up in that first fight. Not quite the case there, as Boston will take first control on Busan.
Nego is so close as well, dying at 92%, and he's not even going to stick with it. We've seen this in the past as well. You go for that one play with the Moira. If it works, fantastic, fabulous. If it doesn't, you just change back to the Zenyatta. You get that Discord Orb in play. When you get that Discord Orb, it's a debuff. It's something that you put on your opponent, and it makes him take 30% more damage. It's a big difference. And so that's going to be his main role here, trying to facilitate his team to set up these kills. Ivy looking for the grab. Ult online. Rally is used, and there it is. He sees the opening, grabs them all, gets them into this. We do still have Helix doing a good job of hanging out on the edges, and he will delay with the sound barrier to keep his team up.
AimGod used Transcendence to keep his team alive, and now he's going to try to buff it back up by picking up a couple of kills. The problem with having a Moira early on means that you're not going to have your own Transcendence up because you just switched to Zenyatta. So now Boston Uprising should pretty much have a one fight if they use the Graviton Surge against Toronto Defiant.
Yeah, it's a lot on Envy to try and get it in position to block it. You know, that's the real game. Keep an eye on that big mech, that's kind of flying all over the place. Has the ability to delete abilities, basically. Catch them out of the air and just delete them from existence. And so that's why you see a lot of dancing here from Zarya. She's trying to find that opening, and she sees it immediately. Hides it behind the wall, grabs the Defiant as they make their way onto the point, and there will be a self-destruct kill coming in on Roki, but we lose Note. He's not able to get into a fresh mech.
Well, Roki gave up his life, but he was able to use his ultimate early to keep them alive during that combination. And now they've got Neko use his Transcendence too. They're picking up the kills that they need. A few more and they should be able to secure the point back, and that will be what happens. About 30% for Toronto Defiant on the point, but now Boston sitting at 84% is probably only one definitive fight away from taking the first stage on Busan.
Yeah, they're about to have both of their support ultimates coming up. Rally, though, could be used to just initiate in here. Get everybody all big and beefy with the armor. And yep, sure enough, no time wasted. Blase just going to start using that ultimate, rally his team into the fight. Defiant, however, giving ground, not willing to fully commit. Nice delay on a rally of their own as well. Blase not quite going to be able to capitalize on the kill, but the self-destruct chucked out in the open, and we're going to see he finds one kill on Fusions. And the Defiants, they will hold for now.
This is a good sign if you're a Toronto Defiant fan. Their combinations are coming to fruition. The biggest combination in the game right now when you have these 3-tank, 3-support compositions is using the Graviton and then the self-destruct. Because it does burst damage rather than just damage over time, it's a very good way to eliminate high health heroes.
Nice positioning there from the Defiants as well. Wanting to take the fight early. If Boston were going to go through the high ground again, Wanted to be there to meet them. Instead, Boston going to go ahead and set up shop here. Backs to the Fisher. They cannot fall. They got nowhere to go. They have to go forward, and we see that Fusion's leading the way with the hammer. Trance going to be used already here by Nako. A delay on it from AimGod as well. They find the kill on Color Hex. This is huge. Defiant setting themselves up to win this first point.
Trance was forced, and if they had Graviton, they win this fight, but they were able to pick Color Hex before he's able to get that ability off, and now Boston on the back foot. It's just cleanup time for Toronto Defiant. They're going to try to get this Diva out of it, but it seems like all over but the Cryon.
Yeah, this is done. Notes is the last one to fall. The rest of his team aren't going to make it back in time, and it will be the first point. Going the way of the Toronto Defiant. It's looking very clean and coordinated right now, Hex, in terms of you may have those jitters, you know, first round, first map, you know, getting in, not quite sure how it's going to go. But right now, the Defiants, you know, they're sticking to their game plan, and it's worked perfectly.
We mentioned this composition, so important for your Zarya player to be your standout player, and right now, the Toronto Defiant Zarya, Ivy having a great game as opposed to Color Hex. Ivy's got 61% average energy, Color Hex 44, and those numbers don't seem that different, but in practical use, they are very different.
You can see it just in terms of the damage dealt. You know, if you're keeping 61% energy, you're just getting that more. You're getting more damage. He's got 6,700 damage dealt. Color Hex on the other side, 3,500. That's a big difference.
And it was that late death for Color Hex that probably cost him that stage. He had Graviton ready, they just got Transcend baited out, and unable to stay alive and lofted in there. We'll see if they can rebound here on our second stage.
So this one, fighting around the middle this time, different setting. New point. And let's see now, Defiant, now this is a bit of the standoff. Neither team wants to make the mistake first that will cost them an early kill. But the Uprising so far doing a good job of forcing the Defiant to give ground. Defiant need to be careful about splitting up too much. You do not want to get cut off from the group. You want to stick together as 6 and work together with your abilities.
The early poke fight is so important for Zarya to try to get energy up. You see right there, taking damage on barriers, both personal barrier and allied barrier, and a big spike in energy for Ivy is now going to be doing a lot of damage.
There it is, contributes. Blase goes down, and Fusions to follow. This is going to be a one fight for the Defiant. There isn't a whole lot they can do. Color Hex trying to stay alive, and they will not let him. Excellent work with that hunt.
It's so important to chase down Zaryas and not let them live through to the next fight and stay alive, because once you kill a Zarya, the energy we talked about being so important resets back to 0. Then you have to use your allied bubbles, as we call them, to get the damage done, to get the energy back up, and it's simply less resources you have going into the next fight.
Just they don't have to worry about Color quite as much, at least until later into the fight. So Color right now feeling the pressure. Not found a final blow yet. That will make a difference, but it's going to be Fusions leading the way. Fantastic shatter straight into the mix, but we have the Trance. Excellent positioning there from Nako, avoids the ultimate, and so he can keep his team alive. Rally used as well, but it's going to be the grab coming in here from Ivy, and can the Defiant do it? Yes! The shatter combo into the self-destruct. Sick work. It's all coming together so beautifully here.
A lot of resources committed, but it wins you the fight guaranteed. You shatter there so that it knocks down the opposing Reinhardt's shield, which is one of the only defenses against the giant self-destruct bomb. So they committed everything, but it's worth it when you win those fights. The flip side is if you commit everything and lose those fights, you put yourself in a terrible position. Boston Uprising now has a combination play of their own. Color Hex is nearing Graviton Surge, Note is nearing self-destruct.
That is the wombo combo that we're so used to seeing now in the current strategy, the current set of plays from these teams and these heroes. Color Hex, you see it? Grav comes online now. So he's going to be looking for the opening. He needs to be aware of the positioning of Envy. Does not want to risk getting this ultimate eaten. He saw D-Matrix get used there, and yep, there it is. Plops it down, needs to get the follow-up. Sound barrier goes up, and there is the charge. Fusions. He didn't have a shatter, but he could still go ahead and take Yakbong for a ride.
And the plus side is Fusions will have a shatter for the next fight. Boston will wrestle over first control. Toronto Defiant will sit happily on 85%. Now you're in a situation where Toronto really only needs to win one more fight. So do you just wait for your ultimates and your combinations to be up? Ivy's nearing Graviton Surge, but the rest of the parts of that puzzle are still a little bit ways away, as Envy's sitting only at 43. They have time to give up here.
It's going to be that decision-making that comes through, because if they take the time to farm their ults, that means that Boston are getting time to get theirs online as well. Rallies are going to go through. Shatter gets blocked by Yakbong, had the shield up, and the Trance is through as well. Color Hex, yet again, the first to get picked. That's not going to help things here for the Boston Uprising. Solo grab, he doesn't care. Blase is out of it. AimGod having to back off, not able to keep his teammates alive. And just like that, the Defiant take control of the point.
Boston's in trouble. Lucio's trying to get out with his Zen. He's their best chance of being able to get back to the point and contest it at 85%. And just a great reactionary play from Toronto. I don't think they were going into it expecting to use ults, but when they got pushed on and the ultimates were used to no effect for Boston, they decided, well, this is a great window. It's our time. They used them and they worked.
Get in this fight. Now, exactly, Boston have got no room for error. We're into overtime. If they get off the point, this is done. They have to keep him alive, but Fusion's overwhelms. Too many angles to worry about. That shield only faces one way, and this is it. Uprising getting wiped off the face of the planet. It will be the Defiant to pick up the first map in this best-of-5 series.
The tanks for the Boston Uprising getting isolated and then punished for it. A pretty dominant first map for Toronto.
Highly one-sided. Defiant really showing that they're here to play today. Hex, they're here to win. They get that W. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will see how it all plays out on the second map.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.